feeling is electric. There's a buzz, an energy, a vibe. It's that time. And on this day, any given race day, anything can happen. It's where a rookie like this guy or this guy can take on a champion.
Alex Palou is an NTT IndyCar Series champion.
Or an Indy 500 winner. Or even Mr. Six-Time.
Dixon has done it again.
We've got old faces in new places. Newcomers looking to make their mark. And drivers hungry to fight their way to the top.
Christian Lundgaard is an IndyCar race winner.
It doesn't matter what they did last time out. It's all about this race. Inches from the ground, inches from each other. Full send every lap. Wheel to wheel, toe to toe, turn by turn. Now you might not know what's gonna happen, but on any given race day, you'll wanna find out.
Welcome to the Push to Pass podcast, season number 3. I am Derik Vance, and joining me, as usual, you see Josh up there in the corner, and then you see the two handsome young gentlemen down at the bottom of the screen there. They are live from St. Petersburg, if memory serves me correctly, as they are enjoying a adult beverage or 2 or 3 or 10 possibly. Being joined by the king of bets there, and then Tony as well. Fellas, it is the eve of the St. Petersburg race, and definitely love that the IndyCar is back. Josh and Tony, how are y'all this evening?
Well, we're doing great, man. We're psyched for the season to start. We were out at the track all day today. A little warm, but it was nice to. It was a ton of people there. I don't think I've ever seen that many people there in St. Pete on a Saturday. So we're psyched to get the season back going. And it was like Christmas morning this morning. I saw a full betting menu on multiple betting sites across the way. So that was awesome. That's a start. And betting is live in Florida here, so people can. I was hoping to see like a Hard Rock bet tent at the track. Didn't see that just yet, but we're getting there, man. It's getting better.
I saw a banner at least, so you
did? I didn't
see
at
least
that.
one banner, but no, it's good. I got down here on Thursday, saw the Dan Weldon documentary on Thursday night, and had a nice dinner here tonight, right off the waters, courtesy of Mike and his family. So we're ready to go for our first betting card for the 2024 IndyCar season.
That's awesome to hear, guys. I'm doing good. Excited about this upcoming season. And right before we got on, I was able to get on Caesars and see there is a full round of bets and some good odds. I love odds.
Nice. I haven't looked at Caesars yet. You might have to help us with what's out there. We saw DraftKings already dropped betting so far with Newgarden at your fave at 2.5 to 1, and then kind of surprisingly we saw Herta next, I believe, at 4 to 1, and then followed by O'Ward at 6 to 1, which has got my eye already. I checked my notes from last year. It said bet Pato, he got screwed, and I'm gonna stick with that. And I think I'm gonna be rolling with his. I already have a pre-Pato bet, but the number got better, so I think I'm still gonna take some more. So Tony's pulling up Caesars right now. But yeah, what do you see over there?
Pretty much the same thing. Newgarden's plus 250, Herta's plus 475, and Award's plus 550. So that's those are some good odds in my opinion for the first race right off the bat.
Yeah, and we're looking at Caesars here with some top 3 finishes. Obviously, Newgarden's going to be in there minus 160. Everybody else is at plus money. Colton Herta's even. Pato O'Ward plus 125. Felix at plus 150. Marcus Ericsson, Scott McLaughlin at plus 250. Kyle Kirkwood starting 17th. That's plus 300 to finish on the podium. I would certainly go ahead and avoid that. And then we got some group betting as well. Top 5 for Award, minus 160. That makes a lot of sense. Felix, Colton, and Joseph projected to finish in the top 5 as well. And then you got some groups down here as well. So it's nice to not have to wait till race day to get through a bunch of odds and different ways to bet the race. So kudos to Caesars and everybody else out there that have gotten us some betting odds, before we go to bed the night before a race.
Most definitely. That's always an awesome thing
Yeah,
to
I
have.
seen that. I seen how excited Mike was to see the early lines out this past week. I know that was exciting for him. But you both did mention that you guys were at the track today. I know a lot of fast speeds, a lot of fast times there as we had cars getting around
here
the
you go, hold
street
on.
in under a minute. Tell us a little bit about what you guys witnessed today with practice and then with qualifying today.
Oh man, it's just a tight field. Like I think the tightest first to second in history, less than a blink of an eye. Like it is hard to handicap IndyCar. Like Joseph, bet on me. Like I saw that he was sitting in double digits, and I was like, man, that seems disrespectful. But if you look, he kind of has said he struggles at these street courses, and like self-admittedly says he kind of sucks it up at St. Pete. So I just kind of glossed over it, and here he sits on the pole. So he's going to have to be a fade for me. I'm not going to touch him at 2-1. Maybe I can find a group or a matchup just to have a little bit of a hedge on everything where I bet him if they got him matched up against maybe Rosenquist or Kirkwood. The Kirkwood loves crazy, but yeah, it's there's Tony might be able to talk more about some things coming from drivers, but I mean status quo with all the engines and tires and whatnot.
Yeah, just like Mike said, when you look at Joseph Newgarden, he was disappointed in where he finished in the championship last year. Thought his third championship slipped away from him, which you won the Indianapolis 500, and the obligations that come with that can sometimes derail your season, for lack of a better term. It's been a weird offseason, I think, for Joseph Newgarden. When I talked to him back in January at the media day, he said, look, I'm just recharging. I'm changing the way that I am in the off season. I just want to spend time with my family, and then I'll get back to the grind. And look, we've seen the pictures of him with his shirt off. He's unfollowed everybody on Twitter. He doesn't do Bus Bros anymore. So it's like a recharged Joseph Newgarden to come out and get his third championship. And in a place that, yes, he's won twice on the streets of St. Petersburg, but he said it all offseason. I talked to him at Media Day, and I talked to him a week and a half ago when they unveiled the ticket for the 108th Indianapolis 500 last week in Indianapolis. And he said, obviously, it's no secret that road and street courses were kind of our Achilles heel last year, more so the street courses. If it looks like he's got that change so far over the last 24 plus hours with the practices we saw on Friday and then qualifying today. But as Mike said, I mean, just at 2.5 to 1 to bet Joseph Newgarden, it's almost Verstappen levels, right? Like, it's still plus money, but it kind of takes some of the fun out of it. I'm with Mike. You kind of got to look at some of the other areas as well. If you do want to bet a winner, we're like we talked about. We're kind of on the Pot of Award train right there. I think you can get a little something with Colton Herta, who's been strong this weekend at plus 475. I would avoid Kirkwood at 8-1, starting 17th. They're just for lack of a better term, I've heard drivers say you're back in the shit, right? Anything can happen, especially 15th on back. I'm not sure that I trust a Kyle Kirkwood, who has been known and prone to find the wall, especially in a concrete jungle like St. Pete is. And then elsewhere, Felix Rosenquist. I love Felix. I hope he finishes on the podium. I just don't see him being able to pull it off. That Meyer Shank car has struggled over the last couple of seasons. Felix comes back to Honda, fastest in practice yesterday by a second and a half. But putting it together over 100 laps tomorrow, I think is going to be tough for Felix.
Yeah, that's somebody that I thought was going to come out and have a strong opening campaign, being with a new team with Felix Rosenquist there, P1 on Friday, and then ends up I think outside row number 1 today with Colton Herta puts down beats the track record, and then 30 seconds later Felix comes back and takes the track record as well. So that's somebody else to keep my eye on. Somebody else I think that needs to have a strong season, not only is Arrow McLaren, but specifically Pato O'Ward. I think Pato O'Ward is the type of guy that he's got to be getting sick and tired of playing the bridesmaid and ready to play the bride this year.
Yeah, I bet we haven't talked about this. I made 2 bets for the championship this year. One of them was Award and one of them was McLaughlin, both right around 7.5 to 1. So, I'm on Team Award this year. If I would have saw his win total bet, I would have bet anything, over 2 for him there. So he was one of my season long bets to win the championship, and he's going to be the guy I'm riding with tomorrow, especially if he drops at 6-1. I can see. Oh, it looks like we got some numbers up. Like I see 5.5-1. So we're moving lines right now here on the Push to Pass podcast. It's dropping as we speak. So 5-1. I'm happy about that still. I already have an award ticket at 4-1 because he was the pre-favorite on Thursday, and I bet him right away because, like I said, check notes from last year. He should have won the race last year. Gave Ericsson that win. Then I had to sweat out that Ericsson win total bet all darn year, which still was a winner, but he should have won nothing. But yeah, so Award is my guy for the championship. The other season-long bets, just to throw this out there. I did bet under 2.5 wins for Scott Dixon. I don't think he wins 3 races, and I bet under on Alex Palou 3.5 wins. I don't think he wins 4. I'm a little more nervous about the Palou than I am the Dixon. And then over Scott McLaughlin 1.5 wins. I think Scott gets 2, which obviously would go hand in hand with that championship bet. So, but yeah, Award somebody I think can take it home. I think he's going to be. He didn't win any races last year, but he certainly could have, and I think he can be consistent.
I don't want to hold you guys up because I know you guys got you had plans for later this evening, and I appreciate the question to Tony and get his intake on this interesting article that was put out by Nathan Brown of the Indianapolis Star talking about ready-made about Roger Penske potentially selling the series if he doesn't want to put any money into it.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at IndyCar and you look at the growth and what Formula One has done since the pandemic, and obviously that stems from Drive to Survive, but it also stems from being able to go to Walmart and grab a diecast, and they have sports cards, and they have video games, and they are getting the younger fan, the younger audience. And IndyCar has a core audience of 35 to 70 male, dominated mostly in the Midwest region. And you look at the growth and what you can do moving forward. And look, I think the 100 Days to Indy is a great show, but it's on the CW. And I don't know if it comes on after or before Charmed and Bewitched. I don't know what comes on first. And I think owners are frustrated. They had to pay an extra $1 million this year for certain different things, different parts. They've talked about the hybrid coming. Hybrid is still not here. It was a really negative offseason for IndyCar. They finally did get some sports cards released. Still no video game. They dropped the ball on that. Mark Miles, who everybody talks about just being somebody who can move IndyCar forward into the future, hasn't done that. Roger, you don't know how much hands-on or hands-off he is. There was so much pub behind him buying the Speedway right before the pandemic. I mean, we've seen some new video boards and some new paint at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Great. But there's just so many different things that they need to do moving forward. One, as Mike and I talked about on the way here, was just finally coming to a hedge and saying, hey, we want to jump on this betting train. We want to get people involved. That's a great way. You have a fantasy app and stuff, but to a lot of people, like, they want to have some skin in the game, whether that's $5, 10, 20, whatever it is, whatever you're comfortable with. And I just think that that's one way that they can move. They need to be more mainstream. I mean, I know that they're on NBC, but is NBC the best partner that they have to look in the mirror and say, is this where we want to grow and move our sport forward? And I think Michael Andretti, who's sitting there going, well, look, I just made a bid for Formula One and to have a team, raise the funding for it, have it, didn't get it. Now you got to refocus on your IndyCar team. And is it something to where in 5 years from now, is IndyCar a feeder series to F1? Does Liberty come in and say, hey, we're going to buy IndyCar. You guys can have 5 standalone races in the United States, whether that's St. Pete, Indy, the Indy 500, throw 3 or 4 more out there, maybe Iowa, Milwaukee, Road America, and then say, hey, then you're going to travel with us part of the season. You're going to be a feeder series for IndyCar. That's certainly a possibility. There were rumors all offseason that Honda was going to be exiting. Something's got to change, and it's got to change for the better. And it just seems like, look, I mean, Nathan Brown, who covers for the Indianapolis Star, hasn't said a damn thing about the actual on-track activity this entire weekend. It's been, somebody needs to buy the series. Hybrids, what are we doing with this? Different tires are going on. Like, it's becoming a soap opera on a daily basis. And And a lot of us, I mean, including myself, sometimes just get burnt out from it, all the negativity. And you have a passion for something, you have a love for something that you want to see grow, but it just becomes stagnant. And I mean, look, it's 2024. We can bet on ping pong right now in China in some guy's basement if we want to, but we can't bet on a major open wheel event that the series says, yes, we want to embrace this. Yes, we want to be talking about this. I mean, you know, you look at the NBA, the NFL, Caesars, all these sports books, they're sponsoring NFL teams, NBA teams. That's more money that IndyCar could bring in, not only from a sponsorship angle, but from people putting money into it if they get some kind of kickback from it. And that can grow the sport as well. Maybe that gets you off the CW. Maybe that puts you on somewhere where somebody can watch what you're doing. Maybe NBC says, all right, we love this. There's more money in it. Let's put you in prime time. Let's revamp the schedule. So there's a lot I can do. We can get into it all night if we really wanted to. I spent the off season, and look, if it's not IndyCar's original idea, they're not going to go with it. So that's just where we are. And sometimes the right people are in the wrong places.
I'm totally with you, Tony. I talked about it all last year. Why hasn't IndyCar embraced the gambling aspect of the sport? One more question before we let you guys go, so you guys can go have fun in the Florida sun. And I asked Derik.
Sun, can you tell? I got raccoon eyes and a lanyard tan on my neck. Can you see that? Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I asked Derik this earlier, and it has kind of what my thing is. If Max Verstappen came over and ran an IndyCar series an entire season, would he be as dominant as he is right now in F1?
I don't think he would be as dominant. I think that he would contend on road and street courses. I think people don't understand how tough an oval is in an IndyCar. IMS is one different beast, right? 2.5 miles, relatively flat. Then you go to Iowa, which is a bull ring. You go to Milwaukee, that's going to be a flat track. I think he would certainly struggle on the ovals. But I think that he would come in. Of course, it depends on what kind of car he's coming in, right? But if it's Max Verstappen, I mean, it's going to be a McLaren car. It's going to be Ganassi. It's going to be top level. I think he would win a race in the first year. A place like the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Road Course or Barber Motorsports Park or Road America, that's very similar to European-style tracks and European-style road courses that have the sweeping turns and heavy braking zones, and the max speed can be up to 185 to 200. So I think he would certainly win a race in year number one.
Well, thanks for the insight, guys, and thanks for coming on again. And this season, can't wait to make some money with you guys.
There you go.
Pato Awards the guy tomorrow. Is that what we're going with?
Yeah, award 5-1, 6-1. Put it down, top 3 to win, split it up, and then
there's some tiers as well. If you guys want to check that out, I know Caesars has some tiers up.
We'll cash our bets, but yeah, we're gonna go hit the bars on the beach, and
we'll talk about this tomorrow when we do something. But this is the race where we'll make sure everybody can pay for their Peacock subscription, so that in the future they can watch races that are on Peacock and all the practice. So. If you listen to us, you're probably going to win yourself the $5 subscription for the year to Peacock.
There you go. All right, boys. We'll probably do a Spaces from the track tomorrow morning. We'll be there bright and early, depending on how tonight goes, and we'll see you guys next week.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Later.
Group H, New Garden, Herta, Award.
Good stuff there, Josh, and I think everybody needs to say a quick prayer for Mike, because he's going to have to keep Tony in line this evening, and I can only imagine what kind of job that Mike's going to be in store for this evening. But we'll get back into to the race tomorrow, the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, but a lot to talk about this evening when it comes to recapping the 2024 off season. Josh, a lot of movement within the NTT IndyCar series, and let's take a look at for people that may not have been paying attention to the movement and to some of the rookies and new drivers with new teams. Let's take a look at that. I'm going to throw here. These are first the 2024 rookies that are going to be making their debut in IndyCar to 2023. Some of these names, and then we've got to get to know some of these other names that are going to be full-time in 2024. First, Meyer Shank Racing. We knew this at the end of 2023 with Elio stepping away, becoming just the Indy 500 off-run. But Tom Bloomquist is going to be taking over in the number 60 machine there for Meyer Shank Racing. And then the Indy Next champion there, Lunas Lundquist, had to wait a year, but he has found a new ride with Chip Ganassi Racing. And can you believe, Josh, that Chip Ganassi Racing is going to field 5 cars this year for full-time? 5 cars. That's unbelievable. And then Christian Rasmussen there is going to be running with the Ed Carpenter Racing, and I believe Ed Carpenter is only going to be ovals only. So Christian Rasmussen is going to be the one that's going to be driving the number 20 car. And then the last entry there is for the rookies, Chip Ganassi Racing, Kiffin Simpson. So interesting rookie class led by 2 of them for Chip Ganassi Racing. And then a note here at the bottom, Noah Spiegel is going to be a full-time in Indy Next, but he's also going to be competing in the Indy 500, Toronto, Long Beach, and the Thermal Club, under Dale Coyne Racing, who just put together their drivers within the last few weeks. And then also Colin Braun, who races full-time in IMSA. He's going to be competing at St. Pete tomorrow, and the Thermal Club again for Dale Coyne Racing. So those are going to be 2 guys to keep an eye out for. Like I said, not full-time schedules, but those 2 rookies there, along with the other 4, make up the rookie class for this 2024 season. Now let's get to the drivers and teams, because like I said, there has been such a lot of movement here in the off season, Josh. Friend, your pal, Stingray Rob, and the number 41 entry for AJ Foyt Racing. And then we'll move down next to Andretti Global and the number 28 machine. Next, Arrow McLaren, which I think we're looking for big things from HDM Motorsports in the number 6 machine. But keep in mind that due to a injury, a skiing accident, I do believe that to come back. So subbing in for him is going to be the Callum Milot, who used to race at Juncos Hollinger Racing. And then also for Arrow McLaren there, number 7, Alexander Rossi. He was there last for Marcus Ericsson in that machine. And then the Iceman, number 9, Scott Dixon. And the reigning, defending, undisputed IndyCar champion from 2023, Alex Palou in the number 10 DHL machine, not NTT like he was last year. Now it's the All right, I had a little bit of technical difficulty there. So hopefully I am back. Let's see where we let off at here. Right here, Ed Carpenter racing this year. Like I said, Christian Rasmussen and Ed Carpenter is going to be doing just the ovals this year, and then Renus VK rounds out that team. Hukos Hollander Racing, number 77, Roman Grosjean comes over from Andretti Global, and then Augustine Canapino is driving for them as well. And then Tom Bloomquist going to be driving the 06 for Meyer Shank Racing, and Felix Rosenquist. So you have Bloomquist and Rosenquist for 60 machine for Meyer Shank Racing. Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing, again, number 15, Graham Ray Hall. Another rookie, number 30, Pietro Fittipaldi, is going to be driving the number 30 machine, and then Christian Lundgaard rounds out the racing squad in the number 45 machine. Team Penske, who had no changes this year, Will Power in the number 12 machine, Joseph Newgarden in the number 2 machine, and Scott McLaughlin in that number 3 machine for Team Penske. Then you're also going to have, like you said here, a couple Indy 500 one-offs, Marco Andretti for Andretti Global, Kyle Larson, well documented for Hendrick McLaren, Ryan Hunter-Ray for Cusick Motorsports with Dreyer Reinbold Racing, Connor Daly with Cusick Motorsports, Dreyer Reinbold Racing, Elio Castroneves for Meyer Shank Racing, and then potentially our friend R.C. Enerson with Able Motorsports. So that is the roundup or lineup this year for teams in Drive 24 season. Quite a off season there, Josh, in 24.
Definitely, it was one heck of a. Yep, there I am. It was one heck of an off season. It was dominated mainly by people jumping teams. Only one team had no drivers that were changed. Lots of testing that we saw. They tested at the Thermal Club. I think they may have tested at Indy here once. It's going to be a heck of a season. Hopefully we don't have any legal battles that we have to talk about like we did last year with the Polo and the Arrow McLaren camp and Zach Brown. Hopefully that stays off. I'd rather talk more about the good things in the series rather than the negatives. Like Tony was saying, being able to get out here and grow the sport more often. He was saying that the current demographic of mainly the people that listen to us are not listen to us, but watch IndyCar are typically the older crowd. F1 is coming in and being, even though they race far into the night here in the U.S. and on the East Coast and some other places, they are growing bigger and faster than IndyCar. So I want to talk more about the positives than the negatives. So this season we're coming up to is going to be interesting. Talk about when we come to May. Talk about that great month out here in Indy where we can all experience it. Talk about the ending race this year. Going to be changed. It's going to be Nashville, and instead of the street course, they're going with the oval, which will be interesting. I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to this season and everything that we can talk about week in and week out.
Yeah, definitely a lot of things that we'll be able to discuss there. Just as you mentioned, Nashville comes to mind. We were all set to see cars go down Broadway. But apparently that's not going to happen. We're going to go out to the Nashville Speedway which I've never been there before. So going to be interesting to see that trip. And you know how everyone feels around May when that calendar turns and it says May. We spend all day, all night out at the track, and a lot's going to come from that. But before we get to any of those fun events, we have this Sunday coming up. What are some of the storylines, Josh, that you're thinking about heading into to this race tomorrow? I think about first, what comes to mind: can Alex Palou continue his dominance from 2023? Can that carry over into Sunday and going forward? That's one storyline I think about. And then two, a lot of pub last year at the Arrow McLaren stable, and they walked away with 0 wins in 2023. So I'm wondering if 2024 obviously has to be a better year for Arrow McLaren. I know they just re-signed Pato Award to a contract extension, and then bringing David Malukas over this offseason, as we just talked about. So, can Alex Palou continue that dominance with Chip Ganassi Racing? And then, what does 2024 have in store for Arrow McLaren? That's the first two storylines that come to my mind when opening up this season.
Definitely, those are good storylines. One thing that I'm looking forward to tomorrow is the first turn. Are we going to be able to get through the first turn without anyone wrecking? I mean, I know these guys haven't driven for months now, and they are amped up and ready to go. And just like last year, if I remember right, car went airborne. And you had such tight bundled up traffic last year that somebody went airborne in the first turn of the entire season, and it just it ruined that person. I want to say it was Kirkwood, but it may not have been. But that's one thing. Are we going to be able to get off to a quick but safe start, and where nobody goes out in the first turn and their season starts off on a bad note. Also, I always look forward to seeing how the rookies do. Is Bloomquist going to be able to finish the race tomorrow? How about Linus Lundqvist? He's the defending next champion. How's he going to do in his first full season in the big leagues, as they would say in IndyCar? So how's the track temperature going to take on the how's it going to affect the driving tomorrow? I mean, up here in Indy it's 40. Down in Florida, I can only imagine it's going to be somewhere in the 70s, maybe high 60s. So it'll be an interesting race. What's the viewership going to be with the very first race of the season? Is it going to be a high viewership? Is it going to be a low viewership? That's pretty much going to start the bar and show and see how high or low we get for the ratings to begin the season. I hope we have high ratings for all the races, not just the 500 or the IndyCar or the Indy road course. So hopefully we go up and up and up and get more fans watching the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I think what you're referring to, if memory serves me correctly, it was Benjamin Peterson who went to airborne last year. He hit Kyle Kirkwood broadside coming out of turn one, and kind of ruined both of their days, obviously. And with Benjamin Peterson not being on the circuit this year, does that have anything to do with it? We don't know. But yeah, hopefully, turn one is going to be that. All the guys that they gotta show patience. Coming into that first turn there tomorrow, and then you can get on the go pedal, but get through that first turn unscathed. But yeah, also too, I think you're absolutely right talking about viewership. With no football on until the UFL, which I know you're a huge fan of, by the way, comes into play. I think the end of March. I think. IndyCar definitely has to take full advantage of being the only sport outside of NASCAR on TV. So definitely something to keep an eye on going forward after St. Petersburg. Before we get to the race tomorrow, we'll talk about practice and qualifying and make some race picks. We have to do our series champion pick. I know, like I said, I think we have a good understanding as to who Mike and Tony were on there. But if you were to make a pick right now and send it to Vegas, send it to your bookie for who you think is going to come out of this 2024 season, Josh, as the next NTT IndyCar Series champion, who right now at this moment in time are you putting money on?
Oh, there's a lot of drivers I'm putting money on that I could put money on. I mean, I am going to. I want to go award, but that would be the obvious one. You know, Mike and them were just gushing all over him. I'm going to go with Marcus Ericsson. I'm going to choose Ericsson this year. He was second at Indy after a controversial restart, and I think this is the season. This is the season for him, and I think Ericsson's going to win it.
So you think with Ericsson moving over to Andretti Global, that's going to give him the oomph that he needs to get across the finish line and become an NTT IndyCar Series champion? Interesting. I thought the contrarian pick here obviously would be, Alex Palou. It's going to be hard, obviously, for him to replicate this season that he had in 2023. I thought he would be the maybe the odds-on favorite, or the not going out on a limb pick. But I'm going to stick with, and I know this may come back to bite me. I know it did last year, but I'm gonna stay with what Mike and Tony were talking about. I think with the contract extension and another year under his belt, Pato Award. I like his driving style, and at some point, Pato's going to have this breakthrough to where he's the bride and not the bridesmaid anymore. So my pick, if I'm going to put money on it, I'm going to say that at the end of the season after Nashville, the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series champion is number 5, Pato Award from Arrow McLaren.
Bold pick, Cotton. We'll see how that works out. Susan Lucci finally won an Emmy after several years of not winning it. So maybe Pato can do it this year. I don't know what it is. I don't think Arrow is going to have another good season. I think they're going to have another slumping season. Not saying they're going to go over for the wins. I just don't think Arrow is going to live up to the hype that they had 2 years ago. They didn't live up to it last year, and I just don't see them living up to it this year either.
And those are absolutely valid and fair points, and I can't argue with that. You have Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan Racing, who had obviously less resources than what Arrow McLaren has, but yet they had more wins in 2023 than Arrow McLaren did. So, that's a valid point. Arrow struggled through 2023. Maybe it's because I picked them to not only win the 500, but to win the championship. So maybe me picking Arrow McLaren is a kiss of death for them. Who knows? But I got to think they have to have a rebound season from what they had coming out of 2023. And hopefully, at the end of the season, when we're in Nashville, I'll be able to celebrate with Pato Award after he wins the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series Championship. All right, that wraps it up for the recap and predictions for the 2024 offseason and season in general. Josh, we are going racing this weekend, so let's get to previewing the race this weekend. The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding. Yes, we are opening up in the streets of St. Petersburg, the 1.8 mile, 14 turn 5 left turns, 9 right turns, a circuit that incorporates the streets of downtown St. Petersburg. And for people that didn't know this, not only is this ran in the streets of St. Petersburg, but a section of this course is a runway for the Albert Whitted Airport. So there is an airport that is incorporated in this track. Show me somewhere else where you can find that. After the long front stretch, there's a tight right-hander turn into turn 1, as you were just talking about earlier, and then a quick left-hand turn as well. Plenty of drivers have gotten into trouble in these 2 turns over the years, especially last year, the pile-up that we had into lap number 1. There are 2 other straightaways with heavy braking zones that afford opportunities for overtake. I know we were seeing a lot of quick times today. I know you had a prior obligation, so I was sending you lap times as they were coming in of drivers that were taking the P1 position during practice and qualifying. What were you thinking when you were seeing some of those times that I was sending into you, especially when there was drivers getting around that course there in under a minute?
I mean, wow. I mean, being able to get around that track within a minute. I mean, with the turns, with as many turns as there is in that track, even though it's less than 2 miles, it was blowing my mind when you were sending me the results that 3 drivers had gone sub 1 minute, and as me and you, we both tried to predict the pole winner. I took Will Power, and I believe you took Award, and we were both wrong. But your guy at least made it to the Fast 6, and that just being able to drive a car that fast and handle it and brake it, brake and then reaccelerate right off the bat. That's crazy, and that shows how precise and how talented you have to be able to drive these cars.
Yeah, it absolutely. And I was noticing when those drivers were putting down those lap times under a minute, they were on those new green Yuli tires that Dave first talked about there at the beginning of the show. So it's going to be quick. The track's going to be hot tomorrow. I think it was between 80 and 85 today, and that's when they were putting those lap times down. So with enough rubber from the Indy Next series that runs at 9 a.m. tomorrow, we could definitely see some more hot laps like we've seen today. Some of the previous winners that are still active in the NTT IndyCar series: Marcus Ericsson, Scott McLaughlin, Colton Herta, Joseph Newgarden, and Will Power back in 2004. Will Power again in 2010. Graham Rahal in 2008. And that does it for the active drivers. So we still got a handful of drivers that are active in the NTT IndyCar series that have winning experience here at St. Petersburg. Let's take a look at the first practice. First time these cars were able to get on track on Friday, I believe, if I have the right one pulled up. Yes, as you can see there, as we were talking about earlier, Felix Rosenquist was the leader on Friday's first practice session. Then it was Pato Award, Marcus Armstrong, Will Power, Rinus VeeKay, Scott McLaughlin, Roman Grosjean, Colton Herta, Alex Palou, and Callum Ilott, who is subbing for the injured David Malukas, was your top 10. So some quick laps there. Before we get Josh to practice number 2, let's take a look at Dave First in his preview of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg.
Well, it's that time of the year when the chill of the winter air provides a thaw for what has become the world's fastest spring break party. You guessed it, we're in St. Petersburg, Florida. And I'm Dave First, the preview of the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Pete, presented by RP Funding. We've got pit road behind me, and if you've been to this racetrack, you know exactly where we are. We call it this driveway that leads to the paddock area here in the NTT IndyCar series. Got to keep your head on a swivel. You don't want to get hit by any golf carts or any tuggers, but someone in this paddock is going to win the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series Championship. The question is, who could it be? As soon as you walk in here, on your left, you've got Team Penske, and well, they have certainly dominated everything here on the streets of St. Pete. 11-time winners. In fact, they've won 3 of the last 5. Could have been 4 of the last 5 when you consider the way Scott McLaughlin had his car running last year until he ran into Romain Grosjean in turn number 4. But begs the question, what does a win here really do in the big picture of winning a championship? And the answer is really not that much. Just once in the last 10 years has the winner here gone on to win the season-long championship. So yeah, it's important to get off to a good start, but it's not everything. How about this? Also back in 2024, it's the sustainable natural rubber Wauli tires, the alternate tires on all the street courses once again from the friends at Firestone. And tire strategy is going to be a huge factor, I think, here in St. Pete this weekend. You go back to the group test at Sebring last week, 1 through 24, when it was all said and done, just 1.1 seconds separated first from 27. It is so, I mean, you can think about it, just like that, an entire field going by. That's how tight things are. And it could be even more tighter when you consider how light these cars are. Before the hybrid edition, hey, there's Tony Kanaan. He knows what I'm talking about. But we could be looking at track records this weekend because the cars are lighter until we get to the hybrid edition at some point after the Indianapolis 500. Inside this cowling, you got a magnesium bell housing. That's lighter. The gearbox is lighter, and this top frame as well. It's all lighter, so keep an eye on the chance of track records this weekend. And of course, whenever you come to the first race of the season, it's always new faces in new places, right? Chip Ganassi Racing, you've got Kiffin Simpson, you've got Linus Lundqvist. At Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan Racing, just behind our photographer here, Lizzie, you've got, hey Scott, we were just talking about him. You've got Pietro Fittipaldi, who's a part of Ray Hall. You've got 2 completely new drivers at Meyer Shank Racing and Tom Blomqvist and Felix Rosenquist. The list goes on and on and on. Look, it is a marathon, not a sprint. We cannot wait to get started here on the streets of St. Pete. Follow us on social media, IndyCar.com, the IndyCar app powered by NTT Data as well. You can listen to the award-winning IndyCar Radio Network call coming up on Sunday. And a reminder, you can see the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg presented by RP Funding coming up at noon Eastern, live on NBC, live on Universo, and streaming live on Peacock.
Huge thank you to Dave first for that video. Basically has laid out, everything that we've talked about here as well. New faces, new places, strategy, who to watch, who to watch for tomorrow. Josh, let's look at practice number 2 from this morning, and then we'll take a look at the starting lineup for tomorrow's race. But yes, this was practice number 2 from this morning. You had Colton Herta, followed by Joseph Newgarden, your guy, Will Power, Pato Award, Romain Grosjean, Rinus VK, Kyle Kirkwood, Scott McLaughlin, Scott Dixon, and Marcus Armstrong rounded out the top 10 from practice this morning. So that only leaves one more thing left to check off for this evening, Josh, and that is the starting lineup for tomorrow's Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding. As you see right there, row number 1, the pole sitter, Joseph Newgarden, followed by Felix Rosenquist. Row 2, Pato Award, Colton Herta. Row 3, Romain Grosjean, Marcus Ericsson. Row 4, Rinus VK and Will Power. Row 5, Scott McLaughlin, Marcus Armstrong. Row 6, Scott Dixon, Christian Lundgaard. Row 7, where we find the defending and undisputed NTT IndyCar Series champion Alex Palou and Santino Ferrucci. Row 8, Alexander Rossi and Callum Ilott. Row 9, Tom Blomqvist, Kyle Kirkwood. Row 10, Linus Lundqvist and Augustine Canapino. Row 11, Christian Rasmussen and Graham Rahal. Row 12, Kiffin Simpson, Stingray Robb, your favorite. Row 13, Colin Braun and Pietro Fittipaldi. And then row 14, rounding out, is Jack Harvey. So, Josh, taking a look at at the lineup for tomorrow. I know this is your favorite portion of the show. You are the defending undisputed champion from 2023. Hopefully, you'll be able to carry that momentum into 2024. But looking at the rows for tomorrow, who stands out for you, and most importantly, who are you going to win the race here for our picks segment of 2024?
So many drivers, just so many drivers just to choose from. I mean, of course, I'm not going to pick anyone from the back half because these courses are so hard to come from the back to the and get to the front. I'm going to play it safe, and I'm going to go with Colton Herta for this first race of the year. He did fantastic in the two practices, and he qualified rather high. So I'm going to go with Colton Herta.
Yeah, a great pick. He had a great practice on Friday, great practice on Saturday, or this morning rather. He did break the track record for about 15 seconds until Felix Rosenquist topped him on his lap. So can't fault you for starting off the season picking the number 26 entry Gamebridge Honda of Colton Herta. Well, my pick is not going to come as a surprise to anybody. I kind of revealed who I think is going to win not only the race tied up tomorrow, but who's going to win the 2024 NTT IndyCar Series Championship again. Me picking this driver and this team obviously could be the kiss of death for them. Hopefully not in 2024. We will see. But my race pick tomorrow is going to be Pato Award. He made it through all the way to the Firestone Fast 6, just missed the pole by a few seconds. So I'm going to go with number 5, Patricio O'Ward, to pick up his first win in 2024. Josh, before we get to our sponsors and we give them a shout out, the first shout out in 2024, is there any news items or anything that you want to cover here before we drop the checkered flag and get to getting on out of here?
One thing that you were talking about earlier, and forgive me, I think it's Malukas. Is it Malukas that's out with the injury? Okay, all athletes, whether you're soccer, football, don't go skiing on the off season. It never helps. It seems like every time a professional athlete goes skiing or anything that has to do with snow, they always get injured. That was the kiss of death for Andrew Luck here in Indy. You just don't go skiing. I don't know why anyone wants to get on skis and go down mountains and peaks and valleys on ice. Did no one learn from when Sonny Bono died from skiing? I mean, it's a terrible thing. Don't do it unless you're a professional. Other than that, I'm just excited about this coming season. I'm excited to do this show. We're gonna get on a consistent basis on the night, but it's gonna be a fun thing. And when we're able to go to some of the races this year, fingers crossed that I can get to more than just one this year. Fingers crossed that we're gonna be able to have a good time this year and see where it goes.
Well, first I have to stand corrected. I have to correct myself. Even though you shouldn't be doing things in the off season that are going to cause you injury, I actually had his injury confused with someone else. He was mountain biking. Doesn't take away from the fact that you don't mountain bike where you're going to cause yourself injury, especially close to the season. So stand corrected there. But to piggyback off of what Josh just said there, yeah, we're going to try to get this on Tuesdays because we have another show that I think everyone would love to tune into if you have not tuned in already, that we do on Wednesdays. So we're going to try shooting for Tuesdays, try to make this more consistent. We had a couple things, me come back from vacation, trying to get into the regular swing of things. That's why this is on a Saturday night, the eve of the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. But yeah, we're going to be more consistent, probably be on a Tuesday. But yes, we've also talked about going out to a handful of races. Obviously, all the races that are going to happen out at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Detroit as well, and then the last race of the year in Nashville. So that is our schedule tentatively right now. Maybe we'll add more. I'll just have to see if we can get enough shillings in our pockets there to be able to go to those races. But yeah, definitely love that IndyCar's back. Love that we're able to get back on here and talk to IndyCar Nation on a week-to-week basis. And like I said, we're back on Tuesdays. I think that's what we have figured out. But other than that, Josh, I think we have covered everything that we wanted to get done here in this first episode of the 2024 season. We did recap, if you missed it, the off season, if you want to go back and check that out. And then if you're looking for betting advice, go to the beginning of the show and see what Mike and Tony have to say. I know they've been boots on the ground there in St. Petersburg all day. They'll be there for the race tomorrow, so I'd watch out on X or Twitter for a spaces by them to get that last minute betting news before the window closes and you're not able to, as Tony said, make that money that you can put on watching Peacock all year. That $5 monthly fee for Peacock. So that does it. Well, no, it doesn't. Hold on, stop. I have to pay a bill. Sorry, can't do that. Before we go, I know we have two amazing sponsors that are back for the 2024 season. First, Always Ready 1776 apparel. For any headwear, apparel, and anything else patriotic, please go check out alwaysready1776.com. And then if you do decide to purchase, make sure you use that promo code right there, push to pass, for 10% off of your order. And then also can't forget the fine folks over at Gettum Associates for all your design, build, and remodeling needs. Remember, it's Gettum.com. And then also, if you use the promo code PUSH2PASS, you will get $250 off any design service. A huge thank you to both Always Ready 1776 and the fine folks over at Gettum Associates. So with that, I can say that this first episode is in the books. Josh, great time. Huge thank you to Mike and Tony for joining us. Definitely look forward to more episodes to come from this 2024 season. Any last remarks before we sign off?
Nope. Just like I've said throughout the entire show, looking forward to the season and watching tomorrow. Unfortunately, I have to work, but I'll try to catch the race on Peacock on my computer and see where we can go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So for myself, Josh, Mike, Tony, everyone else here at the Push to Pass podcast, we will see you on Tuesday when we recap and talk about tomorrow's race, the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. So until then, so long, everybody.
The feeling is electric. There's a buzz, an energy, a vibe. It's that time. And on this day, any given race day, anything can happen. It's where a rookie like this guy or this guy can take on a champion.
Alex Palou is an NTT IndyCar Series champion.
Or an Indy 500 winner. Or even Mr. Six-Time.
Dixon has done it again.
We've got old faces in new places. Newcomers looking to make their mark. And drivers hungry to fight their way to the top.
Christian Lundgaard is an IndyCar race winner.
It doesn't matter what they did last time out. It's all about this race. Inches from the ground, inches from each other. Full send every lap. Wheel to wheel, toe to toe, turn by turn. Now you might not know what's going to happen, but on any given race day, you'll want to find out.